Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Fantastic Four First Steps did a tie-in with Little Caesars that shows us the classic monster of Giganto attacking New York. Let's take a look.
I'm not a topping! Not a topping!
See Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four First Steps, only in theaters.
Yay! Ready to be saved now!
Whoa! We should break down who Giganto is, why that's actually very important here, whether he will look like this in the movie, and how to look at goofy product tie-ins like this ahead of Marvel movies. And I am happy to report to any of you asking about our deep dive channel that yes, it's still around. I just wrapped on a nearly 2-hour video analysis of Christopher Nolan's Tenet. That video is going to upload to the deep dive channel before the end of the month, and it's going to be the only video you ever have to watch about Tenet, including maybe even the movie of Tenet. I'm just kidding, but I think you'll like it. Okay, so Giganto is the monster that appears on the cover of the very first Fantastic Four comic issue in 1961. He's one of the deviant mutates unleashed upon the surface world by Mole Man being the subterranean villain, the first villain faced by the Fantastic Four, and he sends his mutates to countries like the Soviet Union and France and the United States to attack various chemical plants and other atomic hotspots around the world. And because of Giganto's iconic status on the cover of Fantastic Four #1, future Marvel writers and artists would often bring him back and Mole Man in other forms just to pay homage to that historical status. Now, this is a commercial for Little Caesars, but we do know that Giganto is still going to be part of the Fantastic Four's backstory in this movie, and we might even see the Four fight him in a scene that looks like this. When the Four face down the Silver Surfer Shalabal in Times Square, they stand on a memorial disc that we know from figurines that recreated this moment displayed at CCXP Mexico. That disc also depicts Giganto and the words, "On this spot, the Four saved the city." We also know that Little Caesars exists in the world of the Fantastic Four in this movie, because in other trailer shots we have seen billboards for Little Caesars. So the pizza chain's product placement deal extends to signs that are actually in the movie. Now, the thing about Giganto is that as a deviant mutate, he was actually created by the scientists of the deviant race to serve as part of Crow's invasion force. This was later established in Marvel Universe #7 in September 1998. And in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Crow appeared as the leader of the Deviants, voiced by Bill Skarsgård in the Eternals film. I've got a trip to New York planned next month, and one of the things I've learned the hard way in the past is that if you live in Los Angeles too long, you forget that rain can sometimes happen. Especially when you're traveling, you really don't want to be lugging around multiple sets of shoes or boots. You want one pair that can get you from Broadway to Central Park without having to swing by your hotel. You want Vessies. Vessi makes waterproof sneakers that are stylish, comfortable, and lightweight. They're my go-to sneakers because there's no compromise. They go with every outfit and durable enough to handle everything your day might throw at you, from dog parks to parking garages to coffee shops and food truck festivals. Lately, I've been wearing the Weekend sneaker. Like all Vessies, they're slip-on, fully waterproof, and manufactured without any PFAS materials and completely vegan. Step confidently into daily life with the waterproof, ultralight Vessi Weekend sneaker. With a 1-year warranty and worry-free 30-day returns, you're covered for every journey. Discover more at vessi.com/rockstars and get 15% off your first pair. So, if Fantastic Four First Steps is going to stay true to that canonical backstory for Giganto, it would imply the existence of deviants on this Earth in this alternate universe, and therefore the existence of Eternals on this Earth, and therefore the existence of a celestial gestating inside of this Earth's core, which could answer a question some of you have had. Because when Marvel began to market this film and explain that this is an alternate 20th century history where no Cold War happened and it's ANSA instead of NASA, and potentially coming out of a World War II that ended with no atomic bombs needing to be dropped, compare that to the history of Earth that we were shown in the 616 universe in Eternals. Phastos wept on the ruins of Hiroshima in August 1945. Would Phastos have been less needed as a source of divine technological wisdom in the labs and think tanks of this world if Reed Richards is there? Would whatever celestials inside of this planet be another few thousand years away from hatching? Could it be possible that Galactus only targets planets that are doomed anyway because they have celestials inside of them? Because those planets would also logically benefit from the Eternals on the surface, expediting their agricultural and technological development, and therefore also their industrialization, and therefore also a decimation of their planet's natural resources, putting those particular planets on the path to their own extinctions anyway, like what we saw with Hala and their dying star in the Marvels. There's a lot to think about just by establishing the existence of this big fat green thing, because this big fat green thing is canonically a creation of the foe of the Eternals. Now, is this gonna be how this scene looks in the movie? Because some online are saying that Giganto CGI looks bad. And hey, when it comes to shots like this, I'm always more focused on the character design than I am on the execution of the visual effects, especially when the footage has already been compressed for YouTube and social media sites. And I will say, I do like how they leaned into the cartoony comic accuracy of Giganto from 1961 with his flat, toothless mouth and his all white eyes. I guess maybe I'm not looking for photorealism because Giganto is just like a mutate and it doesn't seem to be based on any particular animal anatomy that exists in our world. I think he's supposed to look kind of big and dumb. And ultimately, comic accuracy and our ability to recognize this comic reference is more important than any kind of photorealism. Now, sure, you can totally compare this monster to the very good looking kaiju in Superman, but that kaiju we're pretty sure is based on the anatomy of a real world reptile called an axolotl. And so I think we just have an instinctive reference point for how that is supposed to look, and thus a higher expectation for how well the texturing should be executed. And I just do not care as much with Giganto. So we're gonna see if this shot exists exactly as it does in the movie. Partnering with Little Caesars like this is part of a trend Marvel Studios / Disney have done with their 2025 releases, merging big action scenes that are actually in the movie with some kind of product advertised by bystanders near the battle being affected by the battle. Footage often shot on a separate set. For Captain America Brave New Worlds, there were Tide commercials of characters now getting real messy and dirty during Red Hulk's battle with Sam Wilson on the street with the cherry blossoms. For Thunderbolts, the shots of Bucky facing the rolling van were also recut into ads or other services. And for Fantastic Four, we've already seen ESPN tie-in promos for the Western Conference Finals and this ad for Pop-Tarts.
Help! Anybody? I could use a hand down here. Pop-Tarts blue raspberry? That's fantastic.
Pop-Tarts.
Disney does these commercial tie-ins because it is an important way they help subsidize the cost of the film, and they guarantee a profit even if the box office is lower than expected. Marvel didn't invent this, by the way. Blockbusters have been doing this for decades, but it's not always something Marvel has done, and they have leaned heavily into it this year in particular. And every time they've done it, the big action set piece that ties into the product talking points is something actually from the movie. I'm leaning towards Giganto actually being in the movie based off of the other clues from the trailers. I'm just not sure if he's gonna look exactly like this. When we see the dude in Giganto's fist, he looks super unfinished. Even the people running away on the street are clearly first passes at the animation. I'm guessing that since commercials take months and months approvals from the client side and even the FCC, that all sides kind of okayed a version of this shot with unfinished CGI and thought, it's gonna look good enough for a commercial. Now, around the city, we do see some signs, and I think these are also in the movie, but in this case, since it's an ad for Little Caesars, Marvel could only use fictional products and advertisements. We see Aquaria Lime Soda, a movie called The Emperor's Twin. We see Eddie's Swing Bar. We see various billboards for those tiny cars we see everywhere with the dome canopies. One ad with the words sunrise, daytime, midnight. And we do see appliances and televisions that we know from trailer shots are Westview appliances and televisions. That's going to be an important WandaVision Easter egg from director Matt Shakman. And you notice as Giganto smashes up through the street here, some blue flashes flicker on his body from under the rubble. The Fantastic Four fan that was handed out at San Diego Comic-Con last summer gave us an official map of this alternate Manhattan, and there were several entrance points for what was called Subterranea, which I think is the realm of Mole Man in this movie, where these monsters are, in tunnels that are burrowed deep beneath the city. We still haven't seen Mole Man in any of the marketing in this film, but it's looking increasingly likely that Paul Walter Hauser will be playing the character. The blue light could be some kind of radiation that Mole Man is feeding these monsters from atomic energy, and there is a shot that we saw in the April trailer where a bunch of people in the city were kind of hiding in some kind of underground tunnel, and in the far corner of that shot, we saw the Fantastic Four there. So I'm wondering if there's going to end up being some kind of collaboration between the Fantastic Four and Mole Man, and he's going to use whatever technology he has down here to move the mutates around. Might be part of a way that they're going to set a trap for Galactus. I don't know. Do you think Giganto being in this movie makes this alternate Earth more likely to have the same history with the Celestials and the Eternals that the 616 universe had? Do you think we're going to learn anything about Galactus's relationship to the Celestials within the cosmic hierarchy? Like, do the gods of this universe hate this other rando who devours their creations? Comment down below with your thoughts, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Sin City Monster, who supports us at the executive producer level. Follow me at EA Voss and subscribe to all the channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.